Good afternoon, dear friends. Hello, Nishika. How are you doing? Waiting for others also to join. This session is specially conducted as you all wanted yesterday, chemical control and coordination. Isn't it? So please join in fast. We are waiting for you. We'll shortly begin with the session. Hello. Hello, सुनो यार. Cookie dough. Good afternoon, beta. How are you? I'm fine. How are you doing? We are here to learn chemical control and coordination, and many of you had requested for that topic yesterday since I asked you which topic do you want me to take. Yesterday we finished with the body fluids and circulation. So all the other students who had requested for that, please join in. Do join in. I'm waiting for you all. Waiting for you all to join in. All my students who wanted this topic to be done, they had requested. Many of you had requested yesterday for this topic. All right, students are joining slowly. Yeah, chemical control and coordination. Ha, thank you, Suno yaar. Hello, Raj Patel. How are you? How are you? We'll shortly begin with the class. Okay, that's great, Raj. Hi, Soumya Jain. I'm fine, Raj. How are you all doing? Shall we begin with this session now? Yachi, hello, beta. I missed your message. I'm so sorry, Yachi. Hi, dear. So we will be starting with the chemical control and coordination. Okay. All right. Kalpana, are there? Welcome. All right. So, for all those students who are listening to me for the first time, I will briefly introduce myself. I'm Namita Koranne. I'm Masters in Biomedical Technology with a degree of BA, and for past 16 years, I am doing this passionate teaching to all the pre-medical aspirant students. Right? Okay. You are able to listen to me via Unacademy. This is the English channel that you had tuned into. And the topic that we are going to do is chemical control and coordination as requested by most of you in yesterday's poll. So we are doing chemical control and coordination only for you people. All right. Okay. Before we begin with the class, I would like to tell you a few benefits about this session, which is being organized by Unacademy. There are special classes also on the Unacademy app, so do download that Learners app. My classes, special classes are also available there. And if you take the subscription, then you will have access to every class. All right. These are some of the mentors who are professionals and who are there to guide you. So You are immensely privileged to get mentored by them. All right. Since this is the online era, we are all stuck in a pandemic wherein we are only sitting in the house and listening to the lectures and attending the lectures from their own day. So, but in such unforeseen conditions or situations, the apps like this help us to communicate. For an educator like me, I'm able to communicate with you, and for a learner like you are able to get connected with me. All right. So you have flexible schedule just in case if you miss any of the lectures, you can always watch them via recorded sessions. And always take lecture every day between it starts from 3 o'clock, so it's 1.5 hours lecture every day. You are listening to me via English channel. For any particular language, if you wish to listen to the lectures, they are also available. And in during this session also, if you feel that you want some explanation to be done in a bilingual Hindi English mix, do let me know. I will do that for you. All right. Then like I'm chatting with you, so it's giving me the feel of as if I'm sitting with you in the same class and we are discussing the topic. There are interactive polls also. Very soon I'm going to conduct the quizzes, and I had informed my students also. So maybe next week we will go ahead with the quizzes. All right. So do drop in your choice of chapter that you want to learn via MCQs. I will conduct the quiz for that. Right? Okay. Now this tells you that there are many mock tests which are available, so do subscribe to it and you will get access to every test paper. That's very helpful. This is the Unacademy learning app. You can download it from the App Store and then go ahead. These are the subscriptions which are available to you. There are various of them, like 1, 3, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. But if you have to appear for the NEET next year, then please do subscribe for this 12-month subscription. And for if you're appearing for NEET 2 years from now, then go for 24-month subscription. And use my code NAMYT. I repeat, NAMYT, so that you get 10% discount on any subscription that you choose. All right. Okay. So here we are. We begin with our topic. All of you who are requested for this topic, join us. Chemical control and coordination, right? Control and coordination, as the name suggests you, control and coordination. Our body is a multicellular body, and we require a control of every part of our body. Imagine your liver start functioning the way it wants, and your brain starts functioning the way it wants, and there is no coordination between them. Then you are gone for a toss, right? So chemical control and coordination, basically we are trying to say that our body is under the control and coordination. But in this particular chapter, the control and coordination is being brought about by chemicals. Hello Pranita, you're welcome to the session. It's okay dear, we have just begun. All right. Okay. So that was about what are we going to learn. We are going to learn that how our body is controlled and coordinated with the help of chemicals, which means hormones. All right. What do you mean by the process of coordination? The process of interaction of two or more organs to complement each other is known as coordination. The process in which two or more organs complement each other's function, that is known as coordination, right? For example, insulin being produced by pancreas. So insulin by pancreas acts on liver and causes glycogen formation. So between pancreas and liver, there is a coordination so that both of them can function properly. All right. Okay, welcome Pranita. Enjoy this lecture. All right, so coordination means two or more organs are in sync with each other. They complement each other so that they can function properly. That's it. That's the definition of coordination. Okay, now the coordination is brought about in our body in two ways: neural coordination, endocrine coordination. we are learning chemical control and coordination, which is part of 11th NCERT. This is the last chapter of the NCERT in 11th, right? So before this chapter, there is a chapter neural control and coordination. Now both of them talk about control and coordination. That is why I have mentioned over here that the coordination is brought about by the nervous system. So this is the nervous system, and we do not use the word nervous these days, we use the word neural these days, and also by chemical, which is endocrine system. So how are the chemicals being used? They are used in the form of hormones. I hope I'm clear to all of you, right? So control and coordination is being brought by neural system and endocrine system, right? What is coordination? When two or more organs complement each other's function, that is known as coordination. All right. All right. Are you able to listen to me, bacha log? Because I can see in the chat box, Sunoyar has mentioned that the volume is low. Is that okay now? Is that okay now? Okay. We move on to the next. All right. We will quickly compare the two systems, the neural system and the chemical system. The neural system and the chemical system. Neural system is a fast response. You touch a hot pan, you remove your hand from the hot pan. That's a neural system, right? Slow response is a chemical system. The hormone being produced for the menstrual cycle or for the maturation of follicle. Now that's the slow process. It takes time. Whereas imagine that if ability to move your hand was under the control of hormones, it would have taken 2 days for you to wave, isn't it? Right? Okay. So neural system is a fast response. It's a very fast response. Whereas chemical system is a slow response. It takes time. Chemicals are released. Neural system, the effect is short-lived. It's just the movement of your hand, you're speaking, they're all coordinated by neural system. Whereas for the chemical system, the effect is relatively long-lived, right? The effect is long-lived because it causes physiological changes. In case of neural system, the neurotransmitters are released, right? So you know that this is how the neuron looks like, and at the base of the neuron there are axons, and from the axons appear or comes out the neurotransmitter, right? So neurotransmitters are released. On the contrary, in case of the endocrine system, hormones are released. All right. What is the effector organ for the neural system? It always acts on the it always acts on the muscles and the glands. The neural system always acts on the muscles and the glands, whereas chemical system has control over all the body parts, right? It can control all the body parts. Let it be a tissue, could be a epithelial tissue, muscular tissue. Every tissue is under the control of chemical system, right? Whereas the effect of the neural system is felt on muscles and glands. That is why we say, hello Sana, how are you doing, beta? Muscles and glands are effector for the neural system. On the contrary, chemical system can work on all the body cells. All right. Now, what is the effect of neural system? It causes muscular contraction and secretion from glands. It causes muscles to contract. It causes glands to secrete. And what is the function? What is the chemical system doing? It changes the metabolic activity. It brings about the changes in the metabolic activity within the cell, right? Have you all followed? You have both the chapters in your syllabus, neural and chemical. Neural talks about neurons, chemical talks about hormones. Neural talks about the fast response, chemical talks about the slow response. In case of neural, it is short-lived. In case of chemical, the response is long-lived. In case of neural, the effector is muscle or gland, whereas in this case, chemical case, entire body cells are under the control of it. Neural response causes contraction of muscle, it causes secretion from glands, whereas chemical causes metabolic change within the cell. On whatever cells it is acting, it causes metabolic changes in it. All right. Hello, Aisha. All right. Have you followed this? I hope there is no doubt regarding this for these particular two things that we discussed, so that we will move ahead. Please write it in the chat box. I'm waiting for you, dear friends. I hope the difference between neural and chemical system is absolutely clear to you people. Right? Shall we move? All right. So we are moving ahead, bachalo. All right. Now, the types of glands. Now, this is something that you have already learned in your junior classes in 9th and 10th about exocrine and endocrine. Though we are going to focus more on endocrine glands, we will quickly revise the difference between the two. All right. Okay. There are majorly two types of glands. You already know that. Exocrine glands. All right. Now, exocrine glands. They secrete enzymes. You already know this. They pour their enzymes in the ducts. So they are the glands which possess ducts. All right. Example, sebaceous gland, the one that secretes oil. Sweat gland. Can anyone give me the name, the biological term used for sweat gland? Anyone who is listening to this video? Do write in the chat box, what is the biological name for sweat gland? It starts with S. I'm giving you a hint. As if we are playing a KBC, isn't it? Anyone? What is the biological name for sweat gland? I'm waiting for your responses. Salivary gland. That's also one of the exocrine gland. Quickly, bachalo. I'm waiting for your response. What is the other name for sweat gland? You have learnt this. All of you have learnt this. Tell me. Have you learned the name sudoriferous? Now you would have realized. Right? So, sweat glands are also known as sudoriferous glands. Exocrine glands, they have ducts, produce enzymes, and these are few of the examples. We are not going to go into the details of exocrine glands because our whole interest lies in endocrine glands, right? Okay, endocrine glands. Now, we will quickly contrast. Endocrine gland, they secrete hormones. They pour secretions in the blood, which means they do not have ducts. Example, pituitary, hypothalamus, and adrenal. These are few of the examples, though you have a lot more to learn. Sweat gland, sebaceous gland are what glands? Tell me. Okay. So endocrine glands, they are the ones that secrete hormones. They pour secretion in the blood. They are ductless glands. Pituitary, hypothalamus, and adrenal. Sudoriferous glands. Yes, sudoriferous. Sweat glands are sudoriferous. Sunoya, you're absolutely right. All right. So, just by looking at these two, you can make a comparison. They are absolutely opposite to each other. And this is it about the exo and endocrine. We are now fully going to go into endocrine part. All right. Any doubt that you have, please do let me know. We'll proceed further. All right. Now, these are few technical terms that you need to know. The study of endocrine glands is known as endocrinology, and Thomas Edison is the father of endocrinology. We must also pay the respect to the person who had actually tried to establish it. So in all my lectures, I try to take name of those scientists who had contributed immensely in it. So study of endocrine glands is known as endocrinology, and Thomas Edison is known as father of endocrinology. All right. Okay. Shall we move ahead? Yes. What is coming next? Type of endocrine glands. All right. There are various types of endocrine glands. Number one, the endocrine glands which are organized. So let me show you what is the other one, scattered. Now, my dear friends, when we study NCRT, if I'm not mistaken, on the first page of NCRT, where the chemical control and coordination, that chapter begins, chemical control and coordination. In the towards the end of that page, uh, about 2 to 3 lines above, they have mentioned the word organized. All right, which means they want student to know what is an organized gland. But that term organized is not used or described or defined anywhere in the chapter. So that is where the application part comes. They have mentioned the name, but they want you to try to explore it. But I am here to help you out for that. So endocrine glands are of two types. They are organized or they are scattered. All right. So by organized, we mean they are present in the form of cluster or tissue, as in that this is a cell, then there is one more 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 cell. So there is a whole cluster of the cells which act as an endocrine gland. On the contrary, scattered are also known as non-organized, which means that there is just a single cell. Out of all the cells, this is the one that's going to produce the hormone. Okay? I'll try and use the another color so that I can make a contrast, right? So these are all the other cells in the lining, but the red one is the one that produces hormone. So that's the only cell that produces hormone. There are many such scattered endocrine glands also in our body. All right. Okay. So organized means they are present in the form of clusters or tissue, and non-organized, they are present scattered. They are not organized. One of the cell among in that particular lining is acting as a endocrine gland. All right. For example, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, they are all organized because their entire tissue or the whole lot of tissue is acting as an endocrine gland. All right. But liver, heart, kidney, your intestinal mucosa, that is GI tract, in them not all the parts produce the hormones. For example, if we take heart, right, in the chapter excretion, the excretory products and their elimination, in this chapter you would have learned that there is something called ANF, antinatriureal factor. Okay, atrial natriuretic factor, that is being produced by heart. So heart is responsible for actually pumping of the blood, but some of the cells of the heart, one of the cell in that lining is modified to produce ANF. All right. Kidneys produce erythropoietin. So kidneys are divided into cortex and medulla, but some of the cells of the kidney produce erythropoietin. Some of the cells also produce renin. All right. Liver, some of the hormones are produced by the cells of the liver. You all know that the liver has got lobules like this, right, with a central canal. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there are glands which are organized. The entire tissue acts as an endocrine gland, but there are cells which act as an endocrine gland. All right. So not the entire tissue, but one or two scattered cells in that act as an endocrine gland because they produce hormones or things similar to hormones. All right. So organized, this word is used in NCRT. Please make sure that you understand it very, very clearly. And if at all you have any problem understanding, I'm keeping a close watch on my live chat. Please do drop in your message there, right? If there is no message, I would presume that you have understood and we will move ahead, right? Even if you have understood, just tell me here, so that that makes me sure that you have followed everything. I have tried to cover every single line of NCERT through this presentation. All right. So remember, organized are the ones which are present in the clusters. Non-organized are the ones in which in the whole tissue few scattered cells act as the endocrine glands. The example of organized, all your major endocrine glands that you are going to study are hypothalamus, pituitary, etc. They are all organized. In non-organized, the liver, the heart, the kidney, the GI tract mucosa, it also produces certain hormones. You have learned about these hormones in digestion and absorption. So the entire intestine doesn't produce hormone, but in that lining of the intestine, if these are some cells, the one of it, any one will start producing. So this will act as a diffused or scattered or non-organized. So other names for scattered are non-organized and diffused. All right. I hope you all have followed and we are moving ahead with this. Is that okay with everyone? Shall we move ahead? All right, we are moving ahead. What is coming next? Heterocrine glands. What are heterocrine glands? If you're listening to me, please do tell me. What do you mean by heterocrine glands? We learned about exocrine, endocrine. We learned about two types of endocrine. What do you mean by heterocrine glands? Tell me, what is heterocrine gland? Okay, it's coming right in front of you. The glands which secrete both hormones and enzymes are known as heterocrine glands. All right. So pancreas, gonads, that is ovary and testes, right? Placenta, GI mucosa and kidney. They are heterocrine glands because they are able to produce both hormones and enzymes. So pancreas, gonads, placenta, GI mucosa and kidney. They are the ones which are heterocrine. They produce both hormones and enzymes. All right. Okay. Shall we move ahead? All right. We are moving to the part hormones. Hormones. All right. Now this is yes, no, yaar, both beta. Yes, heterocrines are the ones which produce both enzymes and hormones. All right. Okay. Hormones. Hormones. They are what? They are chemicals. All right. Secreted by whom? Secreted by endocrine glands. Right. Hormone. This word is, yes, no, yaar, it is both mixed, beta. The word hormone is derived from Greek word that means to excite, hormone. All right. Hormone is derived from Greek word hormone. Classical definition. Now you need to remember both the definitions, the modern definition and the classical definition. Classical definition. The chemical produced by endocrine glands and released into the blood and transported to distantly located target organ is known as hormone. Now this is absolutely what the NCERT wants. This is what the NCERT wants. NCERT wants you to remember the classical definition, as in that we are saying that we are talking about hormones. So hormones are produced by endocrine glands. They are secreted into blood and they move on to the target, right? At least these three important keywords should be there whenever you are listening, whenever you are reading any MCQ, right? This is the classical definition of hormone. Produced by endocrine glands, released in the blood, and transported to different, distantly located target organ. Scientific definition. Now NCERT, in the same page, NCERT has also mentioned a scientific definition. All right. So you need to remember this also. Hormones are non-nutrient. Now this word is very, 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 very important. Hormones are non-nutrient, which means the NCERT is trying to tell you that an MCQ could be asked in which they are mentioning that hormone is protein in nature. Hormones are protein in nature. But can you use hormone to produce energy? Can you use thyroxine? Can you just use thyroxine and break it down and produce energy out of it? No, they are non-nutrient. They do not have any nutrient value. All right, they might be made up of polypeptides, proteins, amino acids, steroids are made up of cholesterol, but you cannot break them and obtain energy out of it. All right. Okay. So very important word. They are non-nutrients. They do not have any nutrient value. They are chemicals which act as intercellular messenger. Another important word, beta. Intercellular messenger. They act as a messenger, which means a hormone being released. Then here is the cell. This cell has got a receptor and the hormone is going to get attached to this receptor. So they act as intercellular messenger and they are produced in very, very trace amounts. Very trace amounts meaning very minute quantity your body needs, right? Okay. Now, it also includes the other chemicals produced by cells, right? Not only the hormones, but there are large variety of other chemicals also who do not fit into the classical definition, right? Now this was a classical definition. As per classical definition, it should be produced by endocrine glands, released in the blood to a distantly located area. But the modern scientific definition is little different. It's because scientists have found out that hormone may act on the cell, like hormone is produced by this cell, cell number 1, and it is acting on the cell number 2 absolutely close to it, right? Then in that situation this particular point becomes invalid. All right. Then sometimes the hormone does not enter inside the cell, it just remains outside the cell and conveys the message. All right. So to keep that in mind, this scientific definition comes now. Scientific definitions has certain important keywords. Do remember, hormones are non-nutrient. They do not have any nutrient value. They act as an intercellular messenger and they are produced in very, very trace amount. This definition not only goes for the hormone but for all the other chemicals produced by the cells. All right. Okay. Shall we move ahead? Shall we? I'm waiting for your replies, bachalo. Okay, so I am moving ahead now. Okay, now properties of hormones. Hormones has number of properties, out of which some you definitely know, but there are some others which are very, very new to you. So please pay proper attention to the next section, that is property. Keep on recalling. If at all there is something that you want to tell me, do write it in the chat box. Hello Sanat, welcome bache. All right, first and foremost, hormones are organic molecules. As in, what I mean by this sentence, organic molecule, that sodium cannot act as a hormone because it's not organic. All right. So hormones are organic. They have carbon, hydrogen, which means they are hydrocarbons with a special bond, and they can also incorporate oxygen, nitrogen, all the other things, but they are organic. They are basically hydrocarbons. All right. Okay. Next, they travel in blood. Hormones always travel in blood. That you already know. All right. Okay, they are usually small in size. This size is absolutely small. Since their size is small, their molecular weight is also going to be low, right? Okay. They are mostly water soluble. Now the word mostly is a catchy word, catchy as in they are mostly water soluble, but some of them are fat soluble also. But if you consider majority of hormones, you will find that majority is water soluble. All right. So that is why we have used the word mostly, which means few are fat soluble. All right. Okay, that must be coming up. Yeah, few are fat soluble. Here it is. All right, they are secreted in very small quantities. Now there are two different things. They are themselves also very small and they are secreted also in small quantity. So here we were talking about the molecular size of the hormone. That's very, very small. Here we are talking about the quantity of the hormone. That's also very in small quantities. Trace amount it is required. All right. Okay. Then they are destroyed after the use. Once they are used, either they get used up or not actually, but they are destroyed after the use. Once that physiological change they have brought about, then they are destroyed. They are not stored in our body, and there is only one exception to it, except thyroxine. We will learn about this, right? Thyroxine is the only hormone that can be stored in our body for at least 2 to 3 months. In which gland? In thyroid gland. All right. So all the other hormones are, they are produced and they are used up and they are destroyed. The only hormone that is stored in our body is thyroxine. All right. Decomposition of the hormone is done by liver and kidney. So once the hormone has done its activity, it is then decomposed by liver and kidney, and then it is excreted out of our body. Yeah, it is excreted through the urine. They are very specific. They are absolutely specific. Hello, NEET 2021. Okay, they are highly specific. They are non-antigenic. Now, this word non-antigenic is again very, 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 very important. Why very important? Because by non-antigenic, we mean that hormone from one animal can be given to another animal. They do not have antigenic property. Hormones do not form antibodies in our body, right? An antigen is a substance that is when induced in someone's body will produce antibody. But suppose if you extract the estrogen from a horse and inject it into the human female, it will not elicit the immune response. They are not antigenic. So remember this, they are not antigenic. All right. Okay. They do not initiate antibody formation. That is what I am telling you. They are non-antigenic. All right. Okay. Wait. Are you all done with this? Any doubt anywhere? Do let me know so that we'll proceed with the next part. All right. They are organic molecule. Yes. They travel in blood. Yes. They are very small in size. Absolutely. Owing to small size, they have a very low molecular weight. They are mostly water soluble, but few are fat soluble. They are secreted in very, very small quantities. They are destroyed after use. They are not stored in body except thyroxine. They are decomposed by liver and kidney. The decomposed hormone is excreted via urine. They are highly specific and they are non-antigenic. They do not initiate any antibody formation. I hope everything is clear to you. We revise this entire thing. Shall we move ahead? But chalo, shall we? Any doubt, please write it down in your chat box. Okay. Actions of hormones. How do hormones act? That's very, very important. All right. Okay. So, actions meaning the functions that they do. They regulate metabolism. All right. What else do they do? They maintain the energy balance. They maintain the energy balance in the body. Then they help in the growth and development. They regulate immunity of our body. They help in gamete formation. Estrogen and testosterone help in formation of um, ovum and the sperm. They help in reproduction. They help in fertilization, embryo and fetus development. They maintain body temperature, right? Okay. Any particular thing that you wish to want me to explain once again? Regulate metabolism. They have energy balance. They maintain energy balance. They help in growth and development. They regulate the immunity of our body, help in gamete formation, process of reproduction, fertilization, embryo and fetus development, and also maintain the body temperature. All right. Okay, bachalo. Yes, beta, lipid soluble hormones. We are coming to types of hormones based on their solubility. We will come to that. Okay. All right. Shall I move ahead? Okay. Now, types of hormones. Types of hormones based on their chemical composition, right? What chemicals are they based upon? There are two types of hormones. Proteinaceous hormones. The hormones which are made up of protein, they are known as proteinaceous hormones. All right. Now, proteinaceous hormones, when we say that hormone could be made up of amino acid, could be made up of polypeptide, sometimes certain protein associated with lipid. So actually, see, you have to bifurcate or try to learn it like this. The top heading that we are learning is type of hormones. It is based on what? It is based on their chemical composition. So which chemical are they made up of? We are trying to learn that. All right. Okay. So first is proteinaceous, which means they are formed from protein, right? They contain protein and they are further divided into four types. So proteinaceous hormones, these ones are further divided into four types. We are going to see all the types. Okay. Number one, amine, the hormones which are amines. By amines, we mean they are derived from amino acids, right? So if you have learned the chapter biomolecule, there you would have learned that there are many amino acids which are required for hormone formation. Many of my students who have done biomolecules with me, they know that what am I trying to say, right? They can write it down in the chat box also, that the hormones, they are of protein. If they are made up derived from amino acid, they are known as amines. For example, thyroid gland produces such hormones, adrenal medulla produces such hormone, pineal produces such hormone, right? We are writing the example now. Thyroxine. Thyroxine is produced by thyroid and it is a derivative of tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid. Thyroxine is a derivative of tyrosine. Epinephrine, again formed from tyrosine. Norepinephrine, again formed from tyrosine. Both epinephrine and norepinephrine are formed from medulla. All right. Okay. Melatonin. Melatonin is produced by pineal. So that is formed from tryptophan. All right. Are you following this, bachalo? There are certain amino acids which help in the formation of hormone. Such hormones are known as, they are amine derivatives. All right. You need to remember these names. Tyrosine से बनने वाले hormone कौन से हैं? Thyroxine, epinephrine, norepinephrine. So epinephrine and norepinephrine are twins. They will always come together. And you can remember that tyrosine, thyroxine, उसमें एक they rhyme with each other. All right. So how are you going to remember? Epinephrine, norepinephrine are twins, right? Those two twins are made from tyrosine. Remember this. And thyroxine, tyrosine. Thyroxine also derived from amino acid tyrosine. बच जाता है melatonin, that is derived from tryptophan. So basically there are only two amino acids that we are using. Okay, thyroxine deficiency, which causes due to thyroxine deficiency could be due to number of reasons. The thyroid stimulating hormone is not coming from pituitary, or else there is no iodine. in the body, because thyroxine is the hormone that requires iodine. Okay, beta Sarang? Okay. All right. Will you remember this? You will have to. There is no way out, bacha lo. Thyroxine, tyrosine. It's like a rhyming. Thyroxine, tyrosine. Epinephrine, norepinephrine. Both are from tyrosine. And melatonin. ये थोड़ा अलग चल रहा है. It's from tryptophan. All right. हाँ, yes, beta Saran. The deficiency of thyroxine will lead to goiter if it is iodine induced. If it is because of deficiency of iodine, it is called goiter. If it is not because of iodine, then there are a number of disorders. We will look into them. All right. Okay. I hope this part is clear to you. You have to be absolutely thorough with the amino acid and its derivative. All right. Okay. I'm erasing all the ink part now, so that the slide is available for the further discussion. Everything okay? Chalo, we move on to the next. The next is glycoprotein. Again, there is a word protein present. So protein तुम्हारा पीछा नहीं छोड़ रहा है. This protein, along with the carbohydrate, if acts as a hormone, we call it as glycoprotein derivative. Right? We call it as glycoprotein derivative. It is produced from anterior pituitary. TSH, LH, FSH. They are the glycoproteins. Okay? They are the hormones which are glycoproteins. So please do remember all the names along with what type of hormone it is. Because in the exam, in the MCQ, they might ask you a little indirect manner. They might give you the chemical composition of hormone and will ask you to relate or give a match the column kind of a thing. See, NCERT has mentioned these things, right? So can be twisted and asked to you. Glycoprotein, hormones which contain carbohydrate and protein. Such hormones are produced by anterior lobe of pituitary, and they are TSH, LH and FSH. All right. Okay, सारंग बेटा, amniocentesis जो होता है उसमें अगर किसी pregnant women को, if she thinks that the baby has certain problem or doctor feels that the baby is not growing properly, then that baby is actually growing in amnion. That amnion is filled with the amniotic fluid. So what do? They insert a needle from a particular position, could be from the abdomen, and a very sensitive minute needle, and withdraw a liquid from amnion. In that liquid, some fetal cells are present. Those fetal cells are used for karyotyping, and then it is found out whether the baby is actually suffering from certain problem or not, right? But amniocentesis can also be misused for the sex determination of the child. So these days, I mean, it is not done that regularly. If at all the doctors feel that the baby is not developing properly or had certain congenital disorders, then only it is advised. All right. I hope, Sarang, that's clear to you. We are moving ahead. All right, polypeptide, right? So see, here we talked about only amino acids. They're derived from amino acids. Here we are talking about carbohydrates plus proteins. Here we are talking about the chain of amino acid. We are talking about the chain of amino acid, right? Now that chain of amino acid could be short. Okay, I'll remove all the ink things from here. I'll remove all the ink things from here. Okay, so it could be short. The chain could be short. For example, the hormones from hypothalamus and pituitary, MSH and ADH. And it could be long. For example, in case of pancreas, thyroid and parathyroid. All right. Example, parathormone, insulin and thyrocalcitonin. All right, my dear friends, I will again describe this thing to you. Niranjan beta, just practice every day and nothing is impossible. I would say that. Okay, Sajjan, hi. Beta, you can find my name on the my video, bacha. You look for my name on my video and then tell me what is my name, isn't it? All right, polypeptide. Good afternoon, bache. Good afternoon, Sajjan. Mayank, please find out my name and tell it to me. What is my name? All right, polypeptide. In polypeptide, it's a chain of amino acids. So amino acids are attached in the form of a chain, and the chain could be a short chain, a chain could be a long chain. Suppose if it's a short chain, then such hormones are produced by hypothalamus and pituitary. Example, MSH and ADH. These are some of the examples of it. All right. Okay. If it is a long chain, then it is produced by pancreas, thyroid, and parathyroid. Some of the hormones are parathormone, insulin, thyrocalcitonin. These are few of the examples. All right. Yes, Mayank. Thank you, Sajjan. Thank you so much. Mayank, I'm waiting for you. Tell me my name. All right. Okay, Mayank, I'll make it easy for you. I'm Namita. Okay. All right. Shall we proceed? I hope these three hormones category are clear to you. We are talking about protein hormones. Protein hormones are amines, glycoproteins, and polypeptide. I have told you that they are divided into 4 types, right? So fourth type is coming right now. Iodothyronins. All right. Now iodothyronins are the ones in which iodine is attached. They also come under the category of protein hormones only. Now, in some of the books, they have dealt it separately. That is why I'm telling you this, so that if you read any book, you don't get confused. All right. Amines, glycoprotein, polypeptides, and iodothyronins. Iodothyronins meaning where iodine is attached to thyroxine. That is iodothyronine. That's the only example, beta, that we have. Okay. No other hormone in the body requires iodine. So they have in some of the books, reference books, they have made it a separate category. So I am talking about that. All right. Okay, great, Mayank. Okay, glad to have you on my board. All right, next, steroid hormones. See, in my previous slide, I told you that this is based on the chemical composition. Proteinaceous. So proteinaceous hormones are over. The next is steroid hormones. The next is steroid hormones. All right. What are steroid hormones? Let us find out. They are cholesterol derivative and lipid soluble. Right? They are cholesterol derivatives. So they are derived from cholesterol and they are lipid soluble. They are soluble in lipid. Okay, Pranita. Which means proteinaceous hormones are water soluble, right? So now you know steroid hormones are lipid soluble, protein hormones are water soluble. All right. Such categorization is important so that you understand their mechanism of action. They have different mechanism of action. Okay. Now, 2 types. Sex steroids, right? So steroids hormones are of 2 types. They are sex steroids. They are produced by the gonads or glands, that are testes, ovaries, and placenta, and they produce hormones like testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen, to name few. All right. Okay. The other is corticosteroid. I'm removing all the ink so that there is more space. The other is corticosteroids, right? Corticosteroids are produced only from adrenal cortex, and the hormones are cortisol, aldosterone. Once again, we are describing the types of hormone based on their chemical composition. We learned protein hormones. Now we are learning steroid hormones. Steroid hormones are derivative of cholesterol and they are lipid soluble. These steroid hormones themselves are divided into 2. Okay, from where I am from MP. Sex steroids. Sex steroids are they are the steroids which are produced by testes, ovaries, and placenta. And the hormones are testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. All right. Okay. Corticosteroids. Corticosteroids are the ones which are produced from adrenal cortex. They are cortisol and aldosterone. Please do remember this, right? Okay, so steroid hormones are limited. They are sex steroids or corticosteroids. Sex steroids are produced by the glands, I mean to say the gonads, which are testes, ovaries, and placenta also. Though placenta is temporarily formed in the mother's womb, but it acts as an endocrine gland. Please remember that. At times, I have seen a number of questions being asked where placenta is being portrayed as an endocrine gland and students fail to understand what is asked in the question, right? So placenta is a temporary endocrine gland, bachalo. All right. Okay. And what kind of hormones will it secrete? A number of them, but it also secretes the sex steroids. Corticosteroids from the adrenal cortex. So if this is adrenal, the outer region is called cortex. The inner region is medulla. So this region is cortex. And from here is produced the cortisol and aldosterone. All right. Okay. Now types of hormone on some other basis. We learned types of hormones on the basis of which chemical are they made up of. Now the types of hormones on the basis of what type of target tissue do they act on. What type of target tissue do they act on? Okay, you want me to take a reproductive health lesson? Fine. But I already have 2-3 requests. So on that request only, I had started with chemical control and coordination. And the next that we are going to do is probably the biomolecules. All right, and I'll take up this chapter also. So you please subscribe the channel so that you get a notification whenever I am online. All right. Okay. So on the basis of type of target tissue or cell, there are number of hormones. Which target tissue do they act on? Okay, so number one is circulating hormones. Number one is circulating hormone, right? Circulating hormones act on a distant organ. So most of the hormones belong to this category. All right. So suppose if this is the site of secretion of hormone, the hormone is coming out from here. It's entering into the blood vessel and it is moving to a distant organ. This is a distant organ, right? Such an hormone is known as the circulating hormone because it's circulating. Okay, yes, beta. The next topic that we are after finishing this, the next we are taking is biomolecule for sure. All right. So such a hormone that is being produced by organ number one that's distantly present to organ number two. Such an hormone is known as circulating hormone, and most of the hormones in our body belong to this category. They are produced at somewhere else and they act on somewhere else. All right. Okay. Local hormones, very important. Local hormones are of two types, right? Now such bifurcation is difficult to find, so please pay attention to the topic very clearly. Local hormones, as I told you, that local hormone is, suppose this is a cell, right? This cell has produced, I'll use another ink, wait, let me use another ink. This cell has produced this hormone, right? This hormone. This hormone is secreted and this hormone is acting on the cell itself. It's acting on the cell itself. Such a hormone is known as autocrine hormone, which means the target cell and the secreting cell is same. The target cell and secreting cell is same. Example, interleukin. Now, when we do the chapter human health and disease, in that chapter there is a part called immunity, and that's a very good part. In that you will learn that as soon as viruses enter our body cells produce interleukin. It is like in one house the thief has entered and the owner of the house is calling out to the neighbors that thief has entered my house. right? So that way interleukins are released by virus infected cells. So they not only spread the message to the adjoining cell, but also somehow try to protect this cell also. Such a hormone is known as autocrine, right? Such a hormone is known as autocrine, and the gland or the cell is known as autocrine cell. What is it? The hormone is produced by the cell and it is used up by the same cell. Example, a very important example, interleukin. All right, interleukin. Fine. Okay. Is this clear to everyone? Okay, Sajjan, you want me to take plant physiology? Okay, first we will finish with this, and then you can pour in your ideas about the plant topics that I need to take up. I'll definitely take. All right. The next is paracrine, and this has to be number 2. Paracrine, right? In paracrine, if this is the cell that's producing hormone, it acts on the cell that's very next to it. So the hormone eventually enters over here, right? So target cell is near the secreting cell, right? Okay. Target cell is near the secreting cell. Example, prostaglandins. Example, prostaglandins. We are learning about types of hormones. These are on the basis of target tissue or the cell which they act on. Type 1 was circulating hormone. They are released in the blood and they act on distant organs. But there is a category which is known as local hormones, right? ये बेचारे local hormones होते हैं, इनको कोई ध्यान ही नहीं देता, लेकिन ये important बहुत होते हैं. All right. So local hormones, in that category you have autocrine. The autocrines are the one in which the target cell and the secreting cell both are same, right? Example, interleukin. Remember this interleukin also. All right. Second, paracrine. Paracrine are the ones in which target cell is very near the secreting cell. Example, prostaglandins. All right. Okay. Okay, Sajjan, I would try to record a lecture on the board and post it, and will notify you people also. Soon I'll do that and let you know. All right. Okay. Shall we move ahead? I hope there is no problem till now. Shall we? Okay. Neurohormones. Now these are typical neurohormones. Neurohormones are the hormones which are secreted by the nodes of axons. So if this is my neuron, and neuron has this long axon, and at the end of the axon there is synaptic knobs. These are synaptic knobs in synaptic vesicles. This usually has neurotransmitter, but in this particular cell it will have hormone. The hormone is stored in this vesicle. This is seen in the hypothalamic neurons, right? Hypothalamic neurons, you know, the hypothalamus is a part of forebrain. It is present at the base of diencephalon. It's one of the master gland of our body. Earlier, pituitary was termed as master gland, but now we know that pituitary is being controlled by hypothalamus. All right, but as per NCERT, still pituitary is master gland, so we will go with it. But this was just for your information. Hypothalamus is a part of a neural tissue, which means it will have neurons. But it is also an endocrine gland, which means this neuron, instead of producing neurotransmitter, it will produce hormone. All right. So such hormones which are produced by neurons are known as neurohormones. All right. The acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter, but when it is produced by hypothalamus for a particular reason, rather the release hormones, we can in fact, instead of acetylcholine, we can say release hormones. Release hormones by Hypothalamus. All right. Okay. Very important. Pheromones, right? Now, pheromones is the topic that is not actually discussed in chemical control and coordination. It is rather widely discussed in ecology, right? Where they talk about the release of the hormones by some animals. Have you learned mimicry? Mimicry, as in, I'm not talking about the miming that human beings do. Mimicry by the animals, where one animal try to behave like another animal. All right. So there, or in case of during the mating period, the males and females try to attract each other with the release of certain hormones. Such hormones are known as pheromones. All right, insects, absolutely, Pradeep. Insects are the ones which release pheromones. Some animals also release pheromones, higher animals other than insects. All right, pheromones are also known as ectohormones because they are released outside the body, right? So hormones are released inside the body in the blood, but these are released outside the body, which means one very important thing, that they are volatile in nature, right? And they travel through air. All right. So pheromones are also known as ectohormones. The word ecto clearly tells you that they are released outside. They are released outside the body. All right. Since they are released outside the body, what is the purpose if they remain on the skin only of that animal or the outer surface? They have to travel, right? So they are volatile in nature. So they are carried away by the air. Okay. All right. They are, and one important thing, they are not produced by endocrine glands. Now here glands cannot be endocrine because you are not releasing them in the duct, in the blood. You are releasing them outside the body. So if this is the body surface, this is an exocrine gland, and through the duct it is being released outside, right? So they are released by exocrine glands. Okay, Pranita and Kalpana. Hope you are enjoying the lecture. All right, these chemicals affect other animals' behavior, right? Sometimes some animals like dogs can smell the presence of other animal, the presence of human beings, the presence of wild animals, because their nose is very sensitive to these pheromones. All right, they can smell it very fast, which means animals do secrete pheromones, but people like us, human beings, we cannot smell it because we cannot smell, we do not have sensitivity to that smell. All right. Okay. So they are these chemicals have effect on other animals' behavior. So if a dog is there and if the dog smells a lion or a tiger coming, will try to move away from there. All right. First pheromone was bombicol. Bombicol, the word is taken from the silkworm. So it was secreted by the female silkworm to attract the male for the mating. All right. So the first pheromone identified was bombicol, identified in silkworm. All right. And as you know, pheromones are volatile in nature and they travel through air. All right. So we described two important types: neurohormones produced by neurons, example hypothalamus, and pheromones, which are actually ectohormones but produced by exocrine glands, released outside our body. They are volatile in nature. They travel through air, right? And all the animals, I mean, it's secreted by large number of animals. They help to understand other animals' behavior, and the first one to be identified was bombicol. All right. Okay. Is this okay to everyone? Shall we move ahead? Shall we? All right. Now this is the diagram that's being given in the NCERT, and you need to know the location. So now, my dear friends, a number of times they might give you this diagram, and they will give you few blanks. Like instead of hypothalamus, they will give you A. Instead of pituitary, they might give you B. Then instead of thymus, they will give you C, and instead of pancreas, they will give you D. And they will try to correlate these things with the help of, I mean, there would be a flow chart and you would be asked to fill them. So the whole point is you need to remember this. Pay good attention to the diagrams. Diagram based questions are also asked. You know that, right? Diagrammatic questions are also asked. Okay. So can you see my purpose of showing you this diagram? Because at times you people are in so much hurry to learn the theory that you do not pay attention to the diagrams, and then you get fixed when a question based on diagram is asked, and you kind of get confused, right? Howsoever your topic is clear in your mind, you have to relate it with the NCERT diagram. All right. So hypothalamus, this part here, this is hypothalamus. Just below it is, see, the location of pituitary is from here to here. So this is pituitary. This is pineal. All right. Then we come to the neck region. In the neck region, hi Pratibha, how are you beta? Long time. Okay, in the neck region, there is thyroid and parathyroid. Can you see thyroid? This region is the thyroid region, thyroid and parathyroid. All right, thyroid is single gland, parathyroid are 4. We'll come to know about this. Thymus, below the thyroid, in the chest region, there is thymus. All right. Okay. Then in the abdomen region, you have pancreas. Just above the kidneys, you have adrenal. All right. And this is the ovary if female, and testis extra abdominal if male. All right. Hello, Shailesh. How are you? Hello, Rahul. How are you? All right. So please remember this diagram. You should not lose mark because you could not identify the gland. All right. Remember, in the head region, you have 3 glands. Repeat after me quickly, quickly. Hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal. 1, 2, 3. All right. Then in the throat and the chest region, you have again 3: thyroid, parathyroid, and thymus. Then you move on to the abdomen. Pancreas. Now pancreas is a heterocrine because it will produce both enzymes and hormones. Adrenal, just above the kidney. And then 2 gonads, ovaries and testes. All right. Okay. Okay, my dear friends, I hope you are following this. Do not miss with the location of the gland, though we will learn the details of the gland in our upcoming session. But let us see what next do we have to check. The synergetic hormones. All right. Now, bacha log, the name synergetic NCERT has not used, but everything related to synergetic they have mentioned. So what are synergetic? Synergetic is when 2 or more hormones complement each other. The 2 or more hormones complement each other's function. Such hormones are known as synergetic. All right, which means for the full expression you require both the hormones. All right. Okay. So suppose this is hormone 1 and hormone 2. These hormone 1 and hormone 2 should complement each other, so you get the action out of it. Such hormones are known as synergetic hormones. All right. I will try to explain this to you with the help of a very classical example. Growth hormone. Growth hormone is produced by pituitary, anterior lobe of pituitary, under the GnRH, growth releasing hormone produced by hypothalamus. So pituitary produce growth hormone. Growth hormone is synthesized in large quantities during our growing years, right? That is from from childhood to adolescence till adult. The height and the weight of the height especially of the person and the viscera of the person increases till the age of 18. So during this time, like people or students like you who are not yet fully adult, who are not 18 now, in them the growth hormone is active, right? Now this growth hormone causes elongation of bones. So the bones of the palm, as a child you had a very small palm, but as an adult or in adolescence you have a larger palm. Your palm is not still a baby palm, isn't it? Which means the growth hormone is doing its work over here. Now since bones are elongating, the food that bones need is glucose. From where will the glucose come? Insulin will cause liver to produce, to convert glycogen into glucose, and uh, it will cause glucose to convert into glycogen, so the extra will be stored in the liver. Secondly, it will cause cells to absorb more glucose, so it will reduce the blood glucose level. So insulin is trying to develop your liver also by enhancing the glycogen storage, and it is also providing glucose to all the body cells, and with the effect of growth hormone it is helping in enhancing or developing the bones. So two hormones, growth hormones and insulin, both are working together with each other so that you grow and develop to your fullest by the time you are adult, right? So suppose you only have a growth hormone. Growth hormone will try and act on the bone, but you do not have insulin in the body. Glucose will not be absorbed by the bones. And though bones have growth hormone, they will not attain their normal, they will not attain that normal length in the absence of insulin. Are you getting it? Okay. All right. So I am removing all the ink on this so we get a clear picture. All right. Shall we move? Yes, one hormone supports the activity of other. Absolutely, absolutely. So sharing is caring, supporting is caring. All right. Okay. The next is antagonistic hormone. Antagonistic hormones are absolutely opposite to synergetic. वो दूसरों का काम बिगाड़ते हैं. Synergetic एक दूसरे का काम संवारते हैं, antagonistic दूसरों का काम बिगाड़ते हैं. So when the hormone opposes each other's action, they are antagonistic. The hormone that opposes each other's action are antagonistic. Insulin and glucagon. Insulin decreases blood glucose level, glucagon increases blood glucose level. वो मानेंगे नहीं, एक दूसरे का काम बिगाड़ते हैं, है ना? But we will not say that in our body we require both of them. So blood glucose level at times it should increase when the body need, and it should decrease when body does not need it. All right. So you need to like in the examination, what we really focus on is in the MCQ you are given two pairs, एक synergetic दे दिया, एक antagonistic दे दिया, and they might ask you that both are antagonistic, both are synergetic, और ऐसे नीचे अंदर नीचे ऑप्शंस दे देंगे A B C, फर्स्ट इज करेक्ट, फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड और करेक्ट, लाइकवाइज. ओके. ऑल राइट. एक फिक्स स्टेज पर पहुंचने के बाद बॉडी की ग्रोथ इसलिए रुक जाती है क्योंकि जो ग्रोथ हार्मोन होता है वो बनना बंद हो जाता है. पिट्यूटरी ग्रोथ हार्मोन सिर्फ 18 इयर्स की एज तक ही बनाती है, उसके बाद वो बनना बंद हो जाता है. सो अगर उसके बाद भी वो बन रहा है तो फिर एक डिजीज है जिसका नाम है एक्रोमेगाली. उसमें क्या होगा कि इंसान का जॉ, उसका हाथ, उसके पैर डिस्प्रपोर्शनेटली बढ़ जाएंगे. The disease is known as acromegaly. So after the age of 18, that we say that the growth stops after that. In the sense you do not gain height, growth hormone is not produced. All right. हाँ, और अगर बचपन में किसी बच्चे के अंदर ग्रोथ हार्मोन बहुत ज्यादा हो गया तो जाइजेंटिज्म हो जाएगा. बट अगर किसी अडल्ट में 18 साल के बाद भी ग्रोथ हार्मोन हो रहा है, देन एक्रोमेगली. सो दे आर टू डिफरेंट. We'll do these things in our upcoming session. All right. Okay. So antagonistics are the one when two hormones oppose each other's action. Insulin and glucagon. Ha, yes. Khali has gigantism. All right. Okay. Now we are moving towards the last part of it, the mechanism of action. How do hormones act, right? What is the mechanism of action of hormones? This is what we are left with. All right. Okay. Any doubt or question that you have, please do let me know so that we'll proceed with this section. Mechanism of action. Okay. Hormones are circulated in the blood. They can reach out to every cell of the body, but they only affect target cells. Why? I've given you three statements in front of you, and you know them. Hormones are circulated in the blood. They can reach out to any cell of the body, but they can affect only target organs. So suppose if this is pituitary, pituitary has produced growth hormone, right? Or not actually growth hormone, we'll say TSH to be really precise. TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. So yes, thyroid stimulating hormone जाके किसको stimulate करेगा? सिर्फ thyroid को? It cannot stimulate adrenal. Why? It cannot stimulate ovary or testes. Why TSH will only act on target organ? My dear students, please answer to me in the chat box. I'm keeping a close watch on the chat box. Let us see who answers first. Just use your basic biology knowledge. Why can an hormone act only on target organ when it is rotating or circulating in the entire body? Quickly, I'm waiting for your answers. I'm waiting for your answers. Who will tell me that the hormone produced can only affect the target cell? Why? Answer is here. Hormones have specific receptors. Receptors बेटा, transmitters नहीं. Hormones जो है उनके पास specific hormones specific receptors पे काम करते हैं. तो अगर ये है बॉडी का एक सेल और ये है उसके ऊपर का रिसेप्टर और हार्मोन कुछ ऐसा शेप का, तो ये यहाँ फिट हो जाएगा. ठीक है. ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी, अगर ये है बॉडी का सेल और ऐसा है इसका रिसेप्टर, तो ये वाला हार्मोन इसमें फिट नहीं होगा. राइट. सो हार्मोन्स आर वेरी वेरी specific to the receptors. They are absolutely specific. इसीलिए तो TSH पूरे बॉडी में हर जगह घूम रहा है, पर अफेक्ट सिर्फ थायराइड ग्लैंड को ही करेगा और किसी को अफेक्ट नहीं करेगा. ठीक है. Okay, so they are very very specific. And what are receptors? Receptors are the proteins on the cells. So these receptors are the proteins on the cells. They are present on the surface of the cell, waiting for hormones to get attached. All right. Okay, no problem. अभी याद आ गया. Receptors are of two types. Sometimes receptors are present on the membrane, like you can see the receptor is present on the membrane. But sometimes, if this is the cell, the receptor is present inside the cell, right? So sometimes the receptor is present inside the cell. Sometimes it is present outside the cell, depending upon. हाँ Pradeep, beta, I'm listening. Ask me your question. Ask me your question, beta. Okay. So receptors are of two types. They are attached to the membrane. This is a membrane-bound receptor, and they are present inside the cell. These are intracellular receptors. All right. Is that okay? So the hormones are circulated in the body. The hormones have okay. No, there is no doubt. We are moving ahead. All right. Hormones can reach out to any cell of the body, but they only affect target only because they are attached to specific receptors. These receptors are specific proteins. They are of two types. They are membrane bound or intracellular. Now, based on the two types of receptors, you have two mechanism of action of hormones. If you take up your NCERT book, you do that today. Today you try to read the first page, the second page का first paragraph, and then बिल्कुल last में चले जाना mechanism of action. So what they have done, they described the hormone का property, types of hormone in the first 1.5 pages, and then they have described the mechanism of action on the last page. I don't do that. We finish mechanism of action today so that everything is in sync. You know what is an endocrine gland, you know it produces hormone, you know what are hormones, you have seen the properties, you know what is the classification of hormones. We classified it on the basis of chemical, type of chemical, and on the basis of the target cell. So why to wait for mechanism of action of hormone till last? We will finish the mechanism today, and that's going to be the end of this session then. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rahul. All right. So mechanism of action is based upon only and only and only two things. What are those two things? What kind of receptor it is, membrane bound or intracellular. All right. So अगर तुम्हारे घर में पोस्टमैन आया है तो दरवाजे से बाहर चला जाएगा चिट्ठी देके, और अगर घर में मेहमान आया है तो घर के अंदर आएगा. That's the only difference. If you have got a postman to your house, you will receive the chitti and send him back, membrane bound receptor. But if you have got your close friend or relative, you will get him inside your house, intracellular receptors. All right. Okay. Is that okay? Shall we move ahead? We are close to the conclusive part of this topic. Any other thing? Okay. So thus the mechanism of action is also of two types. I'm removing the ink on the slide so that we can see it clearly. The mechanism of action is of two types. Hormone receptor complex leads to a biochemical changes in the target tissue, right? Thus affecting the target tissue's physiology and metabolism. So hormones change the physiology and metabolism of the target tissue. All right, we'll go back to the slide. Any particular doubt that you have, you need to know that there are two types of receptors, membrane bound and intracellular receptors. Based on that, there are two types of mechanism of actions. The hormone receptor complex which is formed, let it be membrane bound or intracellular, will bring about biochemical changes in the target tissue, right? And what changes? Changes in the physiology and metabolism. नहीं Pradeep, hormones are not enzymes beta. Hormones are produced by endocrine glands, enzymes are produced by exocrine glands. If you go to the first part of our discussion, we had described the differences between the two. All right, I hope that satisfies. I'm moving ahead. Okay, membrane bound receptors, right? So we are towards the conclusion of this session. We will study the two types of mechanism and then we are done with. All right. Okay. So membrane bound receptors. Here hormone binds to the specific receptors on the plasma membrane of the cell. So if this is the cell and on the plasma membrane there is a particular type of receptor which is present. All right. Okay. They normally do not enter inside the cell. They do not enter inside the cell. Will you let the postman enter your house if that postman has just come to deliver a mail to you? No, na? They only stand outside, deliver the mail and go, right? So normally they do not enter inside the cell. All right. Okay, they are water soluble. Now, very important question, an application based question could be asked. Now, here you need to use your knowledge of cell, the structure of cell. This is the electron microscopic structure of plasma membrane, isn't it? What am I drawing here? This is phospholipid bilayer. This is phospholipid bilayer. Yes or no? All right. So this is phospholipid bilayer, and we will make them smiley. All right. They are all smiling at us. They are all enjoying session with us. All right. Okay. Yes, sandwich structure. This is a fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane. Can you see this is a phospholipid bilayer, and this is the protein part, and this is the lipid part. This is the hydrophilic part. What do you mean by the term hydrophilic? What is hydrophilic? Hydro is equal to water and philic is equal to liking. So the upper layer loves water, but these two strands, they are hydrophobic. They are hydrophobic. Absolutely, Pradeep. Absolutely. They are hydrophobic. The lipid part is hydrophobic. So you need to understand that in the plasma membrane, the outer side of the plasma membrane is water loving. The inner side of the plasma membrane is water loving. In between is water non-loving. They do not like water. So that is where the lipids are present. Phospholipid bilayer में lipid is present है बीच में. Right? Now, my dear friend, hormone has come. This hormone has affinity for water. This is my hormone has come. My hormone has affinity for water. So it will only be greeted by this layer. It cannot go inside here because this layer is non-water loving. Alright. So my hormone will come and only interact with the topmost layer. That's it. That is where we are at membrane bound receptor. The hormone is water soluble. It comes to the plasma membrane. The hydrophilic part of the plasma membrane interacts with the hormone and receives the message. Hormone cannot enter inside the cell if the hormone is membrane bound. If your hormone is membrane bound. All right. Okay. So water soluble. Do you now remember we had talked about water soluble? Which hormones are water soluble? Proteinaceous hormones are water soluble. What are proteinaceous hormones? The ones which are derived from amino acids, the ones which are glycoproteins, the ones which are polypeptides, and iodothyronins. All right. The lipid solubles are steroids, which are sex steroids and corticosteroids. Okay. Hormones here are first messenger. They are bringing the message and giving it to the first part of the plasma membrane. They will drop their mail. If this is their mail, they will drop the message to the outer side of the plasma membrane. Okay. So such hormones are known as first messenger. They cannot go inside, so they cannot go inside. So they generate a second messenger. They generate a second messenger. All right. Okay. What are the second messengers? Second messengers are cyclic AMP, inositol triphosphate rather, and calcium. These are the second messengers. So the hormone comes to the plasma membrane, delivers the message from plasma membrane then goes inside in the form of second messenger. So here hormone acts as our first messenger. Are you getting it? Okay. They carry the second messengers, then carry the message inside the cell because hormone cannot enter. So second messenger carries the message inside. And once the cell receives the message, then the metabolism changes. Either there is an increase, there could be a catabolism, there could be an anabolism, depending upon what type of action that hormone will produce. All right. Secondary messengers. I will remove everything on ink over here. Secondary messengers are the part of signal transduction pathway, right? We will learn we have the diagram with us. We will learn that. They are part of signal transduction pathway. All right. Example, amino acid derivatives and peptide hormones. I just now told you that proteinaceous hormones are water soluble. They have membrane bound receptors. All right. Okay. So my dear friends, this is Mr. Hormone, right? This Mr. Hormone has come to the plasma membrane. The outside of the plasma membrane is hydrophilic, right? So this Mr. Hormone will come and attach to the outside of the plasma membrane and will give its message. This message, that is why this hormone is known as primary messenger. Depending upon this message, a secondary messenger is generated. This secondary messenger could be in the form of AMP, cyclic AMP, that is, okay, it's cyclic AMP, or could be a calcium ion, or it could be inositol triphosphate. All these act as a secondary messenger. They take the message inside the cell and then initiate metabolism. All right. So they can cause either anabolism or they can cause catabolism. Is that okay to everyone? Shall we move further? Okay. What is the reason that they cannot enter the cell? Now this is the reason. What is the reason they cannot enter the cell? There are two reasons. Number one, they are very large. So there is no space in the plasma membrane through which they can enter. And number two, they are hydrophilic. So they are water soluble. That's the important reason. Number one, they are very, very large. They cannot enter. Number two, they are water soluble. So that lipid bilayer will not allow them to pass through. All right. Okay. We move on to the next bachelor. Here is the diagram, right? Please pay attention to it. This is the hormone. This hormone has attached itself to the receptor. Now this is the receptor. As soon as it attaches to the receptor, the response is generated. Now these are all secondary messengers. What are the secondary messengers? Cyclic AMP or calcium or IP3. And then the biochemical response is generated. And here they have taken the example of FSH. FSH is follicular stimulating hormone. It's acting on ovarian membrane. So this is an ovarian membrane. All right. And it brings about the physiological response, that is the growth of the ovarian follicle, right? In the exam, if you are given this diagram, as I told you, diagram based questions are asked. So if you are given this diagram that hormone is only attaching to the membrane bound receptor, instantly it should strike you that it's a membrane bound receptor, so it will generate a secondary messenger, and the secondary messenger then will generate a biochemical response. All right, is that fine? Shall we move ahead? Please remember, diagrammatic questions are asked. Can you see here? The hormone is attached to the receptor on the membrane, and the lipid bilayer is also shown in the diagram. Can you see that? See the lipid bilayer. This is a lipid bilayer. So this part of the layer is water soluble. So hormone can only attach to that part. All right. Okay. We move on to the next. Hormones with intracellular receptors. So this is the last part of the session today. Quickly we'll see what it is. It has to be opposite to what we have learned till now. So these are lipid soluble. These hormones are lipid soluble. They are hydrophobic. So they are lipid soluble, which means they cannot be soluble in the water. They can diffuse through the plasma membrane, which means their size is not a problem. All right. Their receptor is present inside the cell. Their receptor is present inside the cell. All right. Their receptor can be present on the cytoplasm or the nucleus. So receptor can be present in the cytoplasm anywhere or could be present in the nucleus. So they can have a receptor in the nucleus. Can you imagine what kind of change they are going to bring about? Nucleus is their ultimate target destination. So their ultimate target destination is nucleus. Nucleus is their ultimate target destination. All right. Okay. Now here again the hormone receptor complex will be formed, and this hormone receptor complex is known as gene regulatory protein. Right? It is known as gene regulatory protein. Please remember this word, gene regulatory protein. Right? As I told you here, your Mr. Hormone is going to cross the plasma membrane. It will enter inside. All right? And inside it has got receptors in the cytoplasm, and it can have also receptor in the nucleus. Now this particular hormone has got a receptor in the nucleus. So inside the nucleus, it's directly going to affect the gene. It will directly bind with the gene. So when hormone binds to the gene, that gene itself acts as a receptor. Gene is a receptor over here, right? So hormone is binding to this gene. This is known as gene regulatory protein. All right. So now, because of binding of the hormone to the gene, either the gene will function or it will not function, right? There are many such cyclic changes in the body that take place during particular time of the period, and then they do not take place, right? So that's all because of hormones, especially in the menstrual cycle. All right. It is typically repeated after every 28 days. All right. So that's because of the hormone. The hormones are lipid soluble. They might enter inside, and they regulate a particular gene. So they are gene regulator basically. All right. Okay. It activates or inhibits a specific gene. So if gene is activated or inhibited, then the process of transcription is changed. Either mRNA will be formed or mRNA will not be formed. See, a particular messenger RNA will be formed or will not be formed, and it will change the formation of enzyme, right? So the story says, what story says? Hormone binds to gene, and it either stops the gene or it activates the gene. If it activates the gene, RNA will be formed. Which RNA? mRNA will be formed. From mRNA, a protein will be formed, and most probably that protein would be an enzyme for a particular reaction, right? And if it stops, then RNA will not be formed, and enzyme will not be formed. All right? Okay. No secondary messenger is required. There is no need of secondary messenger for this particular response. Hormone is your guest. तुम्हारा रिलेटिव है, तुम उसको दरवाजे से नहीं भगाओगे, उसको घर के अंदर लोगे. So this hormone has come inside, right? And this hormone has got a receptor either in the cytoplasm or nucleus, but majorly in the nucleus. Or nucleus may be kaha? On the genes. So genes act as a receptor. Hormone bind to the gene. So either the gene activity will enhance or will inhibit, right? And in both the cases, the transcription will be altered. Okay. So either the transcription will take place or it will not take place. So it actually alters the transcription. All right. Okay. So mRNA will be formed or will not be formed depending upon कि hormone का action कैसा है, and depending upon whether an enzyme will be formed and or will not be formed. There is no secondary messenger required. कोई दूसरा चिट्ठी देने को नहीं आएगा. Hormone directly अंदर आ रहा है. No secondary messenger. Remember, intracellular hormone response में, in intracellular receptors, there is no secondary messenger. इस बात को बिल्कुल दिमाग में बैठा लो. And membrane bound receptors में there is a secondary messenger. कौन सा secondary messenger? Cyclic AMP, calcium और IP3. ठीक है? All right. Shall we move ahead? It acts directly, right? Okay. Now this is how this hormone acts, right? This is hormone estrogen. They have taken example estrogen. That's a steroid. एस्ट्रोजन देखो, वो क्योंकि मेहमान है ना, उसको सीधा अंदर ले लिया, और अंदर भी सीधा उसको न्यूक्लियस, बिल्कुल सबसे बेस्ट जगह जो आपके पास है उधर जाके उसको बैठा दिया है, राइट? दिस इज hormone receptor complex which acts as a gene regulator, that acts as a gene regulator. Please remember, okay? हार्मोन यहाँ सीधा अंदर गया है और सीधे न्यूक्लियस को क्रॉस करके जीन के पास गया है. It gets attached to this gene and this is known as hormone receptor complex. It's a gene regulator protein. Because of this, the mRNA, if it enhances the activity, mRNA will be formed, protein will be formed, and the physiological response will be seen. Suppose if it inhibits, then mRNA is not formed, protein is not formed, and that particular physiological response is stopped. All right, remember both the diagrams very carefully. Diagram based questions are asked. You are asked to label the diagrams. You are asked to label those blank which are there in the diagrams, or on the basis of the diagram you are asked to answer the question. Here they have taken example of estrogen, that's a steroid hormone, and this is a uterine membrane. Estrogen acts on the uterine membrane, causes the growth of the uterine membrane. All right, so it directly enters inside the cell. Is that okay, bachalo? Have you followed? I'm here waiting for you for any doubts that you have. Please do let me know your doubts. I'm waiting in the live chat box for your doubts. Any doubt? Any doubts? Then we have come to an end of this session. We have a session tomorrow also. We will talk about hypothalamus, pituitary, and pineal in tomorrow's session. All right, once we are done with chemical control and coordination, we will go ahead with biomolecules as requested by most of you. And after biomolecules, then yesterday few people have also requested locomotion and movement. Today I have also received the request for ecology. All right, reproductive health. So these are all the upcoming topics. But tomorrow, hypothalamus, pituitary, and pineal. Okay, yes, Pradeep, the timing is going to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. All right, okay. So every day, you can see me live every day at 3 p.m. every day. All right, so I see you tomorrow, and I hope you like this video of mine. I hope I made it easy for you to understand the concept. I'm still waiting if you have any doubt. And since you like my video, do hit that bell icon for the notification. Do subscribe to this channel, and also do subscribe on the app, the Unacademy Learners app. Once you subscribe on the Unacademy's Learner app, then you have access to all my lectures. All right, my code is NAMYT. Use this code, you will get 10% discount on it, right? So here is my code. This is my code, NAMYT. Use this, do subscribe, and the subscription is going to by the end of the month is going to increase. So if you subscribe early, then the current subscription rates, which are the older ones, will be followed, and they are actually very low. All right, okay. Hi Roman, how are you, beta? How are you? It's very, very long. It's a long time that even I heard from you people. Really happy to see you here. All right. Hi Prahlad. How are you, beta? Hope you're doing good. Hope studying really hard. Do drop in what topics do you want. I will definitely take those topics for you. And from next week onwards, I'm going to start with the quiz. All right. So for that, you need to download the Learners app. Downloading of app can be done from the App Store. That's the free app. Um, and there you can go for the quiz. I will let you know what topics we are doing. All right. Yes, beta, I am also fine. Yes, Ruman, I am absolutely fine. I hope same for you. Same for you, Prahlad, and all of my students who were here today. All right. So see you tomorrow with hypothalamus, pituitary, and pineal. Get ready with it. Any doubts that you have, do ask me in the live chat box. I am in this live chat box, constant keeping eye on it, only for you people. Okay. Okay. Bye, bacha log. Do subscribe. Do like and share this video, and press the bell icon so that you get notified. For subscription, use my code NAMYT. Okay, see you tomorrow. Ruman, Prahlad, see you tomorrow, bachalo. Bye for now. Okay, bachalo. Bye bye.